All right, guys, I just finished the hardwood flooring and I am super excited how it came out. I can't wait to share all that I learned with you guys. And of course, I'll share how much everything costs at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's rewind to the beginning. 4 weeks ago when I took delivery of 2,600 square feet. Yes, 2,600 square feet of beautiful 5-inch hardwood maple flooring. It turns out I have so much hardwood flooring, I can't even get my car all the way in the garage. Looks like I'm gonna get a little workout and have to start moving all this flooring upstairs. Not gonna do all of it right now, but at least gotta make room for my car to get into the garage. Got some help today. You guys remember Julian? Still hasn't started his YouTube channel. My buddy Andre over here. Andre actually has a YouTube channel. Hold on. Let me see that pretty face. All right. He's a realtor here. He does tours of like awesome, custom, unique homes here in Chicago. Just did a church loft tour. I'll leave a link below. It's super cool. I've always wanted to convert a church, maybe in the future. I don't know. But now, let's get that upstairs. Whew, that was actually about 100 boxes. Each of them I looked up were about 62 pounds, so 6,000 pounds, 3 tons of hardwood flooring we just moved up. What do you think, Andre? You gonna give up the real estate gig and start being a lumber transport channel?
Totally, I'm going full time starting tonight.
So we've got all the hardwood flooring in the rooms, where it's gonna go. And we finally got the air conditioning and HVAC all hooked up and running properly upstairs so that we can start acclimating this properly. And already there's one problem. I noticed I got 2 boxes here that are really smashed up. We're gonna open them up, see how bad it is, see if maybe we can trim them off. Hopefully it's only those 2 that are visibly damaged and we'll be all right as far as having enough flooring to cover the whole building. So we're gonna try to take out as much of the wood as we can from the boxes so it can breathe in the environment in this building, get used to it, which will hopefully minimize the expansion and contraction down the road. So let's talk about the plan for the underlayment. I got this stuff called ecocork foam. It's kind of a blend between cork and foam. It's about an 1/8 inch material and it's a little bit squishy, so it'll help level out any imperfections, make the flooring go in easier. Also does soundproofing, will help prevent squeaks. It's waterproof. It seemed like it would be worth a little bit extra money to do quality underlayment. And before I get to installing it, I gotta share that I made a huge logistical mistake in order of operations. So about a week ago, we opened up all the boxes, set them out on the floor so that they could get acclimated. Would have been way smarter to go get the underlayment and install that before we laid out all these boxes. Now we gotta carry them all out of here and then back in after we install the underlayment, which means 2 trips carrying about 80 of these 60-pound boxes. Yeah, so I'm gonna go get on that. When we come back, we'll be installing the underlayment. Got the underlayment in, and we're about to start laying the wood flooring down in the master bedroom. We're gonna drop a colored chalk line right along the wall so we have a perfectly straight reference. You get that first row perfectly straight, then we know all the subsequent rows will be straight after that. This is the board we've already nailed into place. This is the board that's gonna be a threshold across the door. We're gonna take this board here with the tongue on this side and the groove on this side and fit it in perfectly here. Yeah, we'll hammer that in. But then we'll have a perfect threshold all the way across here. Ran into a tricky situation over here at the edge of this room. You need to leave at least a 1/2 inch between the edge of your last board and the wall to allow for expansion of the wood. But when I got the last board in, we had about 1 1/4 inches. So what I had to do was I ran under the table saw and ripped a thin 1/2 inch strip, which I could then put into the edge to fill the gap where I needed. And then I drove a brad nail through that 1/2 inch strip and the tongue of the previous row to hold that all in place. And the brad nail is probably going to be covered by the trim, but I can also come back with some wood putty and fill in the holes just in case it isn't, and it should be completely unnoticeable. We're moving into the closet now, and I want to change the direction of the flooring to run perpendicular to the bedroom floor so that the direction of the wood flooring just flows with the direction that you walk in. So transitioning directions is a little bit tricky to do. So you can lock a piece into the groove like that. But that seems a little easier at first than it actually is, because when you're installing hardwood flooring, the nails go into the tongue side of the board. If I start in the middle of the closet and put a board perfectly perpendicular so I know that it is, then I can't put a board in, because when I slide this board in, now the tongue is covered up and the groove's open and I have nothing to nail into. But there is a solution to that. We're gonna use a spline, which is just a piece of wood shaped to fit into the groove on a board, and basically creates a board with 2 tongues and no grooves. So you can lay a board down, nail it down in the middle, then put a spline in it, and then work in opposite directions from the center out towards both walls. One more thing, in order to make sure that we end on a whole board, I've just kind of dry fit these in here. This board right here is the first board we're gonna nail to set the perpendicular. Because these aren't nailed, we can pull them out, put the spline in, flip these around the other way, and then nail them in. So now that I've explained it to you, I've never actually done that before, and I hope it works. Before we get any further, it is time for a quick coffee break with this video's amazing sponsor, Trade Coffee. I've been working 24/7 to get this flooring done, and Trade Coffee has kept me fully coffeeinated through the whole process. Trade gives everyone access to some small and amazing local coffee roasters that you might never discover otherwise. And they deliver them right to your door at whatever frequency you need it. Now the weather's been heating up in Chicago, so I opted for Trade's new cold brew option. Trade sends you these awesome little cold brewed bags and coffee that's selected to taste great as a cold brew. So if you've never cold brewed coffee, you're in luck. I'm gonna show you how. It's super easy. You just pour your ground coffee into the Trade bag. The bag is sized so one loosely filled bag makes 1 quart of coffee. I put the bag in the container, fill the container with filtered water, cover it, put it in the fridge overnight, and the next morning you got delicious cold brew ready for when you need it. So if you want to hook yourself up with this Trade coffee amazingness, 1, head to drinktrade.com and take the quiz there so Trade can pick out coffees that are custom tailored for your exact taste. 2, choose your delivery frequency so Trade can deliver their coffee that is guaranteed to be roasted within 24 hours of ordering. And that's all you got to do. But wait, there's more. You'll get 50% off your first bag of coffee from Trade with the code MEDUSTRIAL via the link in the description below. If you don't like that first bag for some reason, they'll send you another one free, no charge. So thanks again to Trade for sponsoring this video, and now let's get back to the flooring install. Day 3 now, we gotta pick up the pace on the flooring here, into the guest bedrooms, got the underlayment. Let's roll this on out. I got Jacob here helping. Jacob was watching the channel, sent me an email. He's a realtor in Chicago, said he remodeled a few places that he now rents out. Sounded awesome, so he jumped in. So thank you very much for helping out. I get a ton of emails from people offering help, and that's amazing, and I appreciate all of it. I think this is an example of how awesome this community is. I know I say it a lot, but I love all you guys. Thank you all for being here, along with the journey, all that good stuff. Now let's go lay some flooring. Got to the second bedroom, I was starting to get the hang of it, so let me explain a little bit more to you guys what I'm doing. You can't use the flooring nailer on that first row because when you whack the nailer, it'll knock everything out of place. So I used my finish nailer, dropping nails along the wall where they'll eventually be covered by the baseboard trim. I also dropped some finish nails into the tongue as a little bit of an insurance policy. Once that first row is in, we laid out all the rest of the boards and cut a bunch of them to length. This way all the end pieces are pre-cut. From this point on, with 2 people working, we could just fly through all the rows, starting with the second row, having one person using a tapping block to set each board in place, and the other person come behind them with the nailer to nail them in while they were setting the next one in place, and so on and so forth till we were done. Within 2 rows of the far wall in the room, there's a little bit of trickiness again because there isn't room to use the flooring nailer against those walls. So for the second to last row, I could angle my finish nailer and fire some nails into the tongue. The last row was actually a partial row that we cut the tongue off of on my table saw. And since I didn't have a tongue to nail into, I fired some finish nails into the edges of these last boards right against the wall where they'll eventually be covered by trim and again, will be unnoticeable. Just finished up the second bedroom, moving into the third bedroom. It's about 9:30 at night on a Sunday. I'm gonna try to finish this thing tonight. And I shouldn't say I should say we. Jacob just sent me a text. He had taken off. He has a flight 5 a.m. tomorrow. And he just decided he wanted to stay up. And I was like, you know what? Old man Industrial is about 13 years older than you, but we're gonna do it. And I gotta work as much as I can while I got help. I don't know how late we're gonna stay up, but we're gonna try to finish this third bedroom tonight. Victory!
Absolutely. Yes.
Seriously. There's no way we would have got through 2 whole bedrooms in a day, nailed down, without help. So, you're gonna make your fight?
I'll make it.
All right, awesome. All right, I'll see you guys at the wardy. So it is 1 week until I am moving in exactly. I got the flooring done in all 3 bedrooms, so I think we're on a pretty good pace. Hopefully the hallway and studio will go smooth. And we're doing something a little bit differently in the hallway, and that is laying out the floorboards diagonally, which will add a few challenges. And we'll get to those, but let me explain why it is we're doing that first. Aesthetically, you'd really rather them run long ways along the hall. But functionally, you don't want to run floorboards parallel with the joists that are supporting them underneath them. So if you think about having 2 joists that are about 16 inches apart, the subfloor in the middle could sag over time, which would cause gaps to open up in the floorboards and just look really bad. So the compromise there is to run the floor diagonally because it kind of gives you that forward flow of your flooring, but it also spans the flooring across the joist so you don't have those sagging issues. Now installing the boards diagonally means we have a little bit of extra work to do because we obviously got to cut the boards at 45 degrees. At the doorways where we've got the transitions, we laid the tongue out. We'll actually have to go to my router table and route a groove into the flooring on the diagonal edge so that these pieces will fit into the transitions going into the bedrooms. I decided to use a piece right against the threshold into the master bedroom to set the first diagonal row in the hallway. Now this did mean that I was starting in the middle of the hallway and would have to use the spline technique to work out in both directions from that row, but it also guaranteed that the boards would line up with that threshold and fit nicely. Starting in the middle also allowed me to screw down a sacrificial board to prevent the starter row from moving when I nailed it down. I found that this actually worked really well. So first we'll be working all the way down the hallway to the studio at the end of the hall, and then I'll come back and deal with the section of the hallway right around the stairway that leads down to the living room. It is now exactly 1 week until I move in, and I've still got half the hallway, the whole studio, storage room, front of the hallway by the stairs. I'm starting to get a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie, because I gotta finish this and then I need at least a couple other days to get other things ready for me to move in. I know we'll make it, but yeah, it's starting to get to me. So I think for a little bit, I just gotta turn the camera off, because that adds to the time. I just gotta bust the rest of this hallway out. I'll flip it back on, I think, when I get into the studio. Same night, we are back. I actually got some help. That is Pete. He's actually my Airbnb neighbor. Got him working while I'm talking to you guys. I know, I'm a jerk, right? He popped out while I was getting in my car the other day, and he recognized the car, said what's up, offered to help, and so yeah, what can I say? Again, this community is awesome. It's midnight, we got a ton done. We got the hallway done, which is where I needed to be to stay on pace. T-minus 6 days till move-in. Gonna drive the last board, go home, get some rest, come back tomorrow, hit up the studio. Thanks, man. Boom. I've got another little tricky spot taking me a while to sort out here where this wall meets the stairwell. So what I want to do is run a border of one piece all the way around the stairwell and then have that meet these diagonal boards. And again, this is not a perfect 90. So I basically just had to cut an angle and keep just tweaking the angle by 1/2 degree, 1/10 of a degree, until I get to the exact angle between the diagonal and this board. Then have to get my router and route a groove so it'll fit into the tongue here. Now, every time you move from one space to another, you have to think about how you're gonna create the transition between the flooring in those two spaces. Now, as I'm moving from the hallway into the studio space here, the diagonal direction just kind of flows into the room, so I thought it made sense to just make it a continuous pattern. So what I've done is pick a long board here, right at the corner, that will extend from the hallway to be the first board across the middle of this room. So what this board does is define a line that will split the room into two halves. So I'll extend this row across and fill in this entire half of the room first. And to make sure that this first row of boards stays straight while I'm working on this half of the room, I'm gonna screw down a sacrificial board behind it to hold it in place so it doesn't move around when I whack the nails into the tongue. Friday night, and if you told 20-year-old me I would be excited about staying up late to do hardwood flooring and finish this off, I would have told you you're crazy. But I am. We just finished up this half. We're gonna drop the spline down the middle to flip the direction of the tongue and put it in the second half of the floor. And then we just got a few more little details and the flooring will be done.
Oh, so close. Hold on.
All right, one more try.
I'll go grab beer while he's cutting. You know, because I do the heavy lifting around here. Moment of truth. Let's see if that last piece fits. Jacob?
Pop right in. Oh, that's pretty.
Nice work. I don't even need, I can go home. Just leave you here. Boom.
Boom.
So all I really had to do the next day was finish up the other side of the hallway, which I had left for last because I honestly was a little unsure how I was going to deal with the flooring around the stairs. What I ultimately decided to do was extend the diagonal flooring up until the edge of the stairs where it will meet a stair tread that I'm going to install down the road. And I've actually got a pretty cool idea to do something a little different, not wood, for those stair treads, but that's for a future video. I left the last board in each row long and then used my track saw to cut the boards off all at once so they'd all be flush instead of going through the extremely tedious process of trying to measure and cut each board separately so that they lined up right. And for the last bit of the cut that the track saw couldn't reach, I found this really cool little miniature Japanese saw blade for my oscillating saw, which gave me a really nice clean cut at the finish, and I found I had a lot more control over it than I typically do with an oscillating saw. Before we get to the finished shots of the flooring and the ever so juicy cost breakdown, I know some of you guys are gonna have some questions about the specifics of the flooring I use. The specific variety is called Maple Milana. I'll leave a link in the description. It's not a sponsor. I paid for this fully, as you'll find out in a second. This is actually pre-finished hardwood, which means I'm saving a lot of time on labor because I don't have to finish it. I put some pictures on Instagram and I had people saying that they didn't believe it was pre-finished because the color was so light. Let's have a little fun doing a quick 20-second infomercial style demo to see how durable the finish on this actually is. I've got a couple scrap pieces here. To test how stain resistant it is, I happen to have a little bit of that trade coffee here. Pour that, let that sit, and now we'll pour some onto the top here. Soaking in here and it's beating up here. Just kind of runs off. Take a paper towel and nothing on it. Whereas this one, so overall I'm pretty happy with the durability of that factory finish. And I guess he's kind of giving it away, but I'm recording this after I moved in. Move-in video is next. But now, one more thing before we get to the cost breakdown. I gotta say a huge, huge thank you to everyone who pitched in and helped me with the flooring. I wouldn't have made it to move in without you guys. So Jacob, Pete, Bob, Julia, and Andre, thank you guys for helping out. And of course, thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video. Remember, you get 50% off your first bag with the code MEDUSTRIAL via the link in the description below. So what did this all cost me? I bought enough flooring, not only for this whole phase one, which is the bedrooms, the studio, storage room, and hallway, but for the whole front half of the building, which is another 1,100 square feet in addition to the 1,200 square feet that we have back here. Now you always have to buy 10 to 15% extra to allow for cutoffs, pieces that you just don't like the look of, and things like that. All in all, I bought 2,600 square feet of the flooring. Usually wide plank hardwood flooring in maple will run you anywhere from like $8 to $12 a square foot. This stuff was normally priced at $9.50 a square foot. They were closing it out. I'm not even sure why, but I will take it because I love it, at $6 a square foot. So adding that up, 2,600 square feet at $6 a square foot is about $15,500. Add in tax, delivery, tools I had to buy, and the total comes to a little over $17,000. That sounds like a lot, but hardwood flooring is an investment, and given the fact that I probably saved anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 on installation costs by doing it myself, I think that I'm gonna get an immediate return on that investment in the equity of this building. And with that, I gotta get back to work because I've still got phase 2 to go, building out the kitchen and open living area. So you guys know the drill. Subscribe, bell, so you can get notified as the videos for phase 2 in the kitchen and open living area go live. That's it for this time, and we'll see you next time.